Hi, I'm Donnie Devorin, GM of Never Stop Marketing Research. We are a leading research firm focused on the intersection of blockchain technology and its effect on advertising and on marketing. Our thesis is that blockchain is needed to help fix online advertising and digital marketing. Blockchain technology helps marketers spend more efficiently, simply accomplish their goals faster, cheaper, more securely. And I had a lot of requests for people to walk them through the landscape and what changed over time. And I thought the best way to do this was actually to simply record a video. So to jump in, I will go through, and I should mention that our sponsor is Brave and their basic attention token. And it's one of the examples in the blockchain landscape that can completely change the economics of digital advertising, actually. And they do this by rewarding consumers 70% of the ad spend. They remove middlemen, they prevent fraud. So now let's take a look. So when the landscape first came out in Q3 of 2017, this is what it looked like right here. There were only 22 companies on it. We took the landscape from the MartTech 5000 and removed all the logos, and you can see all the categories here. You then fast forward to Q1 2018, so about a year ago, and there were 88 companies on it, and you could see most of them were in display and programmatic advertising, some in loyalty, identity, and CRM, and a few sporadically around in different areas. And then you fast forward to 1 year later to today, which is now February 2019, Q1 19, and you will see 290 companies on here. And again, sponsored by Brave, and it's built with that, and we'll talk about them in a second. So what changed on this landscape? And hopefully you can see my cursor here. So what we've done is we've broken down the landscape into 6 different columns, and you'll see there's programmatic advertising and decentralized advertising. And one of the pieces of feedback that I got was what are the solutions or the challenges that blockchain solves? And so I focused on 5 different areas: supply chain transparency, payment transparency, reconciliation, fraud prevention, reward consumers, and actually a 5th one, which I'll talk about a little bit later, is transparent user rewarded data. And so to jump right in for supply chain transparency, these are companies like IBM, who is recording not only digital advertising supply chain, but taking a look at, diamonds, or working with Maersk and, shipping containers. And with advertising, we're able to follow the impressions and all the way through the system. Another company doing this is Turnio. They have one of the fastest blockchains out there that can handle the QPS for digital advertising. And I won't go through all of the logos, but that's supply chain transparency. Another one is following the money, so payment transparency and reconciliation, the ability for payments to go out much, much faster as soon as an action is had. Amino would be a great example of that, Fusion 7. And then there's a whole slew of companies focused on fraud prevention. So Rebel AI cryptographically seals your creative inside of an envelope, and only a public key can open up that envelope once it comes out at the publisher side. TribeOS is another one that removes fraud. Lucidity looks at all of the vendors or all the partners in the supply chain and see where there's discrepancy as well. So that's going to be a really big one of removing fraud, not only removing fraud, preventing fraud. And the other one in the programmatic advertising is rewarding consumers. So cryptocurrency and blockchain has given the ability to reward consumers via crypto for viewing ads, for engaging with ads, for engaging, we'll talk about email in a second. This just hasn't been able to be done before because you can't pay somebody a quarter of a penny. There's other reasons besides that, but that's the only one to start. Then you go on to decentralized advertising. Imagine doing a Google search and getting paid every time you do that Google search. Well, that's exactly what pre-search is doing. Native advertising. Imagine a time where this is decentralized advertising, and think about this for native advertising, for out of home, for video advertising. And what I mean by decentralized advertising, it's removing a middleman. So I think always about Bitcoin being that guiding light, that it's provided trust between two parties, and you don't need a centralized company like Facebook or like Google to do the transaction for you. You can go right peer to peer or advertiser to publisher. And just to open up my browser and show you a couple examples, Baidu is doing that with digital out of home. DTube that you saw in the video category, this looks a lot like YouTube, as you can see right here. And the difference is that this was posted 2 hours ago, and someone's getting paid $7 for the video that they just posted. And you may ask something like DTube, how is it different than YouTube? Well, not only is it built on blockchain, which makes it different, but what's the why? There's no censorship, there's no ads, you cannot delete the content. There's no view counts. It's more about the money that people receive. So you can read this article, but there's a lot of differences. Now, going back to our landscape, I talked about video advertising. Mobile advertising is similar. And then to move on, and I'll kind of pick up the speed here, content marketing. So affiliate marketing is really a big one when it comes to blockchain. And I have an article here, how blockchain will affect affiliate marketing. And there's a number of ways that it's going to affect it. Number one, broader market access. And so when you're running affiliate marketing and you want to pay out different vendors, you have to convert it to the currency. So imagine not needing to, like a borderless currency that can go across the world. Smarter payment structures. So if this affiliate marketer brought traffic to your website, the smart contract would immediately dispense of those that currency or those monies, and which leads into lower transaction costs and the ability for token payments and more transparency. All the affiliate marketing, the supply chain gets recorded. So now going back to the landscape to keep this going, there are a lot of new categories versus like a regular MartTech one that were just not possible before. So rewarding content contributors is right here. So the ability to someone to post a piece of content and get it rewarded. So we talked a little bit about that, like with DTube, but this one, like Poet, is a great example. You can create content and it can get distributed across the web, and everything's being tracked. Now, email. Imagine opening up an email and getting rewarded with a currency if you read that email. That's what Earn's doing. Music and entertainment. Imagine listening to music and getting paid in cryptocurrency for doing that. Same thing with video. Library is a great example. So I have this article that I was interviewed for, and one of the examples we talked about was library right here, and it's a protocol that allows anyone to build apps that interact with digital content on the library network. So let me just show you the library network. It's right here. Excuse me. And it looks a lot like DTube, but it's a free, open, community-run digital marketplace. You own the data, you control the network, you are the network, and there's a lot of great content that you can provide, but there's no central body organizing it. In social marketing, there's a little bit of overlap, and there's a little overlap here. The companies that do social transparency or supply chain transparency also remove fraud. Just like in social marketing, you can consider DTube a social marketer. But when I think about social marketing, there's influencer marketing. So there's a lot of influence companies out there, and with influencer marketing, you can have a utility token to incentivize a distributed network for content reviews, or a database for storing content and verifying its uniqueness, or a token for borderless payments and microtransactions. So that's a lot of the promises of influencer marketing. Loyalty points, I think, is going to be a huge one. So how many times do you have points, and on American Airlines or United, and you only have 5,000 points, and it's not enough for a flight, and you can't use them? Imagine being able to convert them to another, loyalty points, or buy a cup of coffee with those points. Well, that's what a lot of these companies in the loyalty points doing. And then there's a lot of social media platforms, something like Steam. So Steam is similar like D2, but it's more of like Reddit. So you post there and get paid in cryptocurrency. And then commerce is a really big one. I divided this up into e-commerce marketplace over here versus e-commerce platforms. So a marketplace would be like OpenBazaar. And OpenBazaar, as you can see here, it's a decentralized, so there's no middleman, like an eBay. And the difference between a marketplace and a platform is something that a marketer would use to help with their e-commerce versus a marketplace where you can go and transact. There are retail platforms. There's one where you can there's a digital assets exchange, so a marketplace just for digital assets, like exchanging the name of a URL. There's a whole category for verifying product authenticity. There's one for travel marketers, real estate marketers, auto marketers, and then the last two would be data. So this is going to be a really big one in the marketing area because we all know how data has been hacked. So imagine having complete transparency into how your data is being used and then being rewarded for that data. And so that's what companies like Strax are doing, and Data Broker, like a lot of these companies in the data area. And then there's ones like Civic that are protecting your data. You're not necessarily getting rewarded for your data. And IAB is working closely with Privacy Chain. That's another one. And then there are areas where you can just go and buy data for your marketing needs, and those are the data marketplaces. And then predictive analysis is going to be a really big one where you can actually bet on things that may happen in the future. And then marketing analytics. So Lucidity, who I had mentioned before in another area, being able to optimize your digital marketing spend based off of all the recorded transactions on the blockchain. And then finally, management, decentralized freelancing. So be able to hire talent, hire someone to make your website, hire somebody to do your digital marketing. But this is a decentralized freelance market, so is no middleman. The transaction fees are a lot lower, borderless payments, crypto payments. So in a nutshell, that is the blockchain marketing and ad tech landscape. Thank you for listening to this video, and we will catch you next time.